Hey guys, we're going to be kicking off chapter 20, which is trigonometry part 2, looking at non-right angled triangles. In this case, we're going to start with the sine rule, and there is the cosine rule as well, and both aiming to do the same thing, whether it's the angle or a unknown side of a triangle, but in this case, we're looking at non-right angled triangles. Okay, so here I've got a non-right angled triangle and I've labeled the vertices in capitals and the sides in lowercase, and the position does matter. So where capital A is, the angle A, over here is going to correspond to little a over there. Okay, same thing with vertex or angle B. Small b is going to be opposite, and then the same thing with angle C. Okay, so just want you to make note of that. And we have a formula, which is A is equal to sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. And it's all to do with ratios. So the beauty about the sine rule, it's fairly straightforward, fairly simple. And you could use any combination of two of these any two of these three ratios or fractions. So we could say that, well, A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. Or we could say that B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. In addition to that, we could also say that A over sine A is equal to C over sine C. Okay, as those kind of three options. And it'll make sense to you when we have some examples to work with. Okay, so let's kick this off. We've got a triangle here, and I'm just going to label the vertices as per usual, so you're familiar with what's happening. Okay, so this one we'll call it 7. We'll say A is equal to 4. We'll call this one 80 degrees. And what we could do is we could work out what that angle is, and then we can work out what that angle is. We could also work out what that side is based on this information. Okay, so let's get on with it. So let's have a look at what we do have so far. So we've got B and we've got angle B. So we can automatically populate that 7 over sine of 80 is equal to, and so now this is where it's important to know, well, which part will you work with at this point in time. So what I'll see is that, well, we've got A, which is 4. So we could say that this ratio is equal to 4 over sine of x, which is what we need to work out. Okay, and then it's just algebra. It's just using your knowledge of linear equations to work out what the angle is. Okay, so then let's get your calculator out. And okay, so let's work out what 7 divided by sine 80 is first. So 7 divided by sine of 80 is equal to, and there we go, 7.1. And we've got 4 over sine of x. Now remember, through other trigonometry, when your variable is at the bottom, we want to have it onto the top. A quick easy method is to switch them around. So we got sine of x is equal to 4 divided by 7.1. Okay, so now in order to get the angle, so sine of theta, so this angle that we want to work out, which is x, we're going to do the inverse. Okay, so if I was just to write it over here, so that means x is going to equal the inverse of 4 over 7.1. Okay, so let's populate that into our calculator again. So the inverse sine of 4 divided by 7.1, close brackets, is equal to 34 degrees. Okay, so x is equal to 34 degrees. Okay, so we've only just worked out what x is, so we can say that that's 34 degrees. You could essentially work out what y is, because you know 3 angles in a triangle adds up to 180. So let's just go 34 plus 80 is equal to 114. Take away from 180, we got 66. So we know that y is equal to 66 degrees. All that we're left with is to work out what c is. Okay, and to work out c, we've got a number of options. Again, we've got this a over sine a, b over sine b, c over sine c. We need to know what c is. Okay, but we know that the angle c is 66 degrees. Okay, so sine of 66. Now it's just a matter of choosing which other two you want, b over sine b or a over sine a. It actually doesn't matter. So let's, for this purpose, use a over sine a. Or let's just do b again. Okay, so 7 over sine 80. Okay, so here we have 7 over sine 80, and we know that 7 over sine 80 from our first question is 7.1. So there's no need to put that in the calculator again. And in order to get c on its own, we're going to multiply both sides by sine of 66. So c is equal to 7.1 multiplied by sine of 66. And c will equal, so back to our calculator, go 7.1 times sine of 66, close brackets, enter, we've got 6.5. Okay, so 6.5 is the length of c. Alright, so hopefully that helps you with the introduction of the sine rule. And we've worked out angles, we've worked out sides, and that's pretty much all that you need to know about the sine rule. Hopefully, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next video, which will be looking at the cosine rule. Same purpose, but just different context.